Hey my beautiful people, welcome back again to my YouTube channel, and if you're new, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much to everybody who has been supporting me. It really means so much to me. You guys, can we talk about the difference between the villages in Kenya and the villages in Germany? When I first moved to Germany, I lived in a village for quite a period of time, and what I imagined to be a village in my mind and the villages I saw here, in particularly the village I lived in, was totally different from my imagination. Totally different from the villages I was used to in Kenya. Let me share with you some major differences I saw between the German villages. Like I said, I lived in a village for quite a period of time, and the type of villages I was used to and what I imagined when I had the word, or when I still hear the word village. Let's talk about it. Let me know in the comments section if you ever lived in a village in Germany, even if you're not from Kenya. Let me know the major differences you noted between your country and the village you lived in Germany. And let me know, because I haven't lived in all villages in Germany. Maybe there are other villages which are like the villages in Kenya. So guys, let me sit down and get comfortable, and we talk about the differences I noted. First major difference. In Kenya, a big percentage, I'll say 80% of people in Kenya own a good piece of land in the villages. That I will say. And this is because some lands are passed from generation to generation to generation. And that's why you find a family owning a good piece of land. Like for example, my grandpa had a good piece of land, and he shared his land among his children. And you see, his children will pass that to their children. In the villages in Kenya, you don't find all houses. You don't find houses built all together, squeezed, one house here, another house here, another house here, another house here. Houses are built, everybody builds their houses in their own land, in their own piece of land. And so you find that the houses are not that squeezed in together. And there are not so many rental houses in the village. Yes, there are some villages which they have rentals, but not so many, because everybody has built their own houses. Whereas in Germany, I might be wrong, but the village where I lived in, houses are squeezed all together. Like you find one house here, you find another house here, you find another house here, and most of the houses are also rentals, you know. We didn't live in a rental house, but there are so many rentals. That is one thing that really confused me when I heard the word village. We are living in a village, yet there are so many rentals, yet I'm not seeing people farming, yet I don't see people having lands. People might have lands, but how I imagine the village, this is not how I'm seeing it, you know. And now let's talk about farming. This is another thing that confused me, because once I hear village, I know a lot of farming. 90% of people in the villages do farming, whether large scale or small scale. It depends with how big your land is, you know. And every time when it's almost the time for planting things, for doing farming, you see people preparing their lands. They start, you know, preparing their seeds and all that. And once it's season for planting, you find a lot of people already planting, you know, maybe maize, if it's maize, maybe if it's whatever season it is. And once they start doing farming, it's not that they're doing only on a very small piece of land. No, like if they're planting maize, they plant really in big spaces, you know. Some people even plant to sell. Some people plant for their own families. Still, they don't do it in a small piece of land, you know, like a one-bedroom thing. If it's planting maize, they do plant maize. If it's planting maybe vegetables like skuma, like mchicha and all that, they do that. Like if it's planting sweet potatoes and all those things, ndumas, arrowroots, they plant all those things, you know. So you can even find one person in the village as maybe maize, as all these vegetables. Whereas here in Germany, if you hear someone saying, I'm going to plant. It's now spring. I'm going to start planting. It's not that big. It's maybe even one room space that they are going to plant whatever they plant. You find that they have planted maybe onions, here they have planted potatoes, here like a small piece of I wouldn't even call it land. Because I remember when I was new in Germany, my son's grandma, because she has that piece of I don't know if I should call it land, she told me, twende tukapande mchicha. And then I went with her, and I was wondering, is there another land? Are we going to plant somewhere else, or are we going to plant here? So I asked, nikamuuliza, I asked her, where are we going to plant the things you were saying? She said, here. And I was wondering, I was so shocked, because for me, I expected that we are going to the farm, you know. I expected we are going to do like we do in Kenya. Shock on me. When we reached there, it's a very tiny piece of land. And then she was planting chicha and some onions and some potatoes and some skumas, you know, but in a very small piece. And that also really shocked me, because when I remember in the village at my grandma's place, when we say, let's go, twendeni tukapanda, let's go to the farm, let's go, we are going to plant today. We can't even finish with 1 day planting. We can't even finish with 2 days planting. You know, sometimes we even have to hire people to help us with cultivating. Sometimes we use cows to cultivate, and other people who are well off also, they use maybe trucks and all that. Another major difference, guys. For me, I was used to the villages in Kenya. We have cattle. Most villagers, or most people in the villages, have cattle, they have poultry. The people in the villages, if they want to eat chicken today, they just catch the chicken, they just take the chicken from the ones they have, they eat that. If they want to have fruits, they just go, if it's season maybe for mangoes, they go and pluck mangoes and they eat. Maybe even our neighbors have other, because we have different types of mangoes. We have different types of papayas. We have different types. We have so many fruits in Kenya. You know, we have different types of tangerines. We have different types of lemons and limes. So if I'm at my grandma's place and I want a papaya and it's season for papaya, I will go to the farm and pluck the papaya. If it's season for mango, some people even let the mangoes fall down because nobody wants to eat them anymore. They have eaten until they are here, so they just let them fall down, you know. And if I want maybe eggs, I'll just go and take some eggs from the chicken, you know, and cook. If I want, maybe I decide people are cooking beans and I want to eat mchicha, I'll just go and cut mchicha, or I go to my neighbor and I ask if I can take mchicha, and I take. And even if they're selling, it's very cheap. If for the people, for example, who live in the coastal region, if I want to cook maybe coconut beans, I just ask my cousins to go and pick maybe one coconut for me, and I make it myself. I cook. If I want maybe to, even milk, for example, my grandma, last time my grandma told me that she had cows, 2 cows had babies, and she was milking. So they don't even have to buy milk in the morning. For example, the people who plant maize, sometimes if it's ugali, they don't even buy the maize flour. The maize they get, they dry them, and then they make the maize flour, maize meal, you know. But here in the villages, most of the villages, you don't find that they have cattle, you don't find that they have chicken, and if they have, it's like a pet. So if you want, that's why even kids here, most of the kids are taken maybe to the Bawanof, where they can see cows, maybe they can see goats and chicken and all that. Even goats are in the zoo, you know, because the kids see them rarely. So, and I'm not saying it's every villager. I know there are some villagers but one that have maybe cattle and chicken and all that. But compared to the villages in Kenya, almost every villager has those things. You have goats, you have cows, you have chicken, you have every fruits you can imagine, you know. Even if you don't have it at your place, you have it at someone else, and you can easily go there. And I can remember when I was young, every time we used to walk, I will walk with my cousins, and maybe even if there is a mango tree on my neighbors by the road, when we find mangoes down, we take them and we eat them. But here it's totally different. You want to eat chicken, you go to the supermarket to buy chicken. You want to eat beef, you go to the supermarket and eat beef. Whether it's Christmas or not. Yes, in summer there's some places where you find apple trees and you can collect the apples which have fallen. But I will still say, compared to Kenya, it's a totally different thing. Totally different thing. I mean, when I'm at my grandma's place, I know if I want to cook something and I need a lemon, I just have to send my cousins or even go myself and pluck a lemon. If it's mango season, I just have to go and get me mangoes. If I want sweet potatoes and we have sweet potatoes, maybe my grandma's planted sweet potatoes, I just go and dig some sweet potatoes. If I want arrowroots, if we don't have them, I can go easily to my auntie. Another major difference, and that I love about my village back in Kenya, is that there is good nature. I'm always asking people, do you know the smell of nature? Because when I'm at my grandma's place, I smell nature, especially when it rains. I smell nature, you know, because almost everywhere you go, there's so many trees. So you find the nature in the villages in Kenya is perfect compared to the nature here. Because here there are just some pieces where you can just go for a walk and that's it. And because everything is just congested, so many cars, everything is just so like this. And that's why the nature compared to Kenya is totally different. The nature in Kenya is perfect. And every time I see people traveling to Kenya, I tell them, if you know someone in the village, go and experience the nature in the village. Go and experience it. I'm always asking people, do you know the smell of nature? Do you know the smell of nature? Because here, if you live here, I don't really think you really know the smell of nature. The smell of nature, especially at my grandma's place, when it rains, how it smells, you feel it. You know, you feel it. And that's another thing that I really do love about Kenya, the nature. Another difference that I love about Kenyan villages, the villages are like family to each other. If you get along really well, then you get along really well. And they're just like families, you know. And that's why I said, sometime, even when I was young, anytime we used to walk, we could find maybe mangoes from maybe a neighbor, and their mangoes fallen down, and I'll just pick and eat them without worrying about anything. So the villagers are like family if you're really close to each other, and that's one thing that I really love about the village life. Here, yes, you know each other, but when I compare to the way people in the village live and the way people here live in the villages, it's totally different. It's totally different. I think I said this, but I'm going to repeat it again. 90% of fruits and vegetables are bought in supermarkets here. Whereas in Kenya, in the villages, I'll say 80% of people already have vegetables, and if they want fruits, we have fruits and all those things, and they're really organic. So that's another thing that I really love about the village life in Kenya. Now let me tell you something that I don't like about villages in Kenya. The roads I'll say 90% of roads in the villages in Kenya are terrible. Whereas here the roads in the villages are really good. Really good. That I must give them. Really good. Another thing that I don't like is that most people in the villages in Kenya don't have electricity. Not that they don't want, but because they can't afford. Whereas here, almost everybody, I'll say everybody in the village has electricity. Like I said in the beginning, if you've lived in Germany or you live in Germany, especially in the villages, Let me know in the comment section, even if you're not from Kenya, let me know in the comment section the major differences you noted between your villages in your country and the villages here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao.